And this one, let's take a look at finding the derivative of 1 over x squared by the definition. So we need to begin by finding the following limit. The limit as h approaches here 0, and then here I'm going to have the following. 1 over, and x has to be replaced with x plus h for the first one. And then you're going to subtract from this 1 over x squared, like this. So 1 over x squared, and that's meant to be a subtraction here. And on the bottom, you're going to have the following, h. And then you just have to work on this expression a lot to make it look simpler so you can actually do the limits. Let me just copy it down below this way. The first thing to do is we write so that you have the same bottom in the numerator in both fractions. So you see x plus h quantity squared is missing x squared by itself, just like x squared over here is missing x plus h, that quantity squared. So for that reason, the first fraction will have to look like this. It's going to be an x squared on the top, and then on the bottom here is going to be an extra x squared. And then here you're going to have the x plus h, and this quantity will be squared. And then over here, you're going to have the following next. You're going to have x plus h, this quantity squared. And on the bottom, you're going to have the following now. X squared, and then x plus h, and then this whole thing squared. So I'm just multiplying on this side right here by x squared over x squared, which is 1, right? And on this side here, what I'm doing is I'm multiplying by x plus h squared over x plus h squared, which is also just 1. And then on the bottom, you still have your h, continuing here. Work on the top a little bit, so you have to combine to get one fraction now. So it's going to be in the top x squared minus first, and then you would have x plus h, that's squared. On the bottom now, you do have only that one piece, x squared times x plus h quantity squared, and then the bottom you still have h. Continuing, you need to expand in the top now. So in other words, this is what you need to do. You're going to have x squared and then expand. So minus, and then within the parentheses at first, you would have x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. On the bottom, you still have that same x squared times x plus h squared, and then over here, all the way on the bottom, you still have h, hasn't changed. Continuing. At the next stage, you need to distribute in the numerator. So it's going to be like this. X squared minus x squared minus 2xh minus h squared, and then the bottom, you're still going to have the same thing. Still x squared times x plus h quantity squared, in the bottom here is still going to have h. Continuing down below. Next, you need to simplify in the numerator. So you see x squared and x squared cancel opposite sign. The negative 2xh and the negative h squared just get copied directly. So that means on the bottom all the way I'm going to have this. Negative 2xh minus h squared, all hanging here still over this part. X squared plus x plus h squared. And then continuing, this is still h here. Continuing. Now you got to do keep change flip. So to do that, the h really you got to see as h over 1. So then you can do keep change flip. That means you got to keep the upper fraction unchanged. So specifically negative 2xh minus h squared over this part here. So x squared and then x plus h quantity squared. And multiply this by 1 over h. Continuing. Now 2xh negative and negative h squared each have an h as a factor. That has to go outside. So it's going to look like this now. H is going to be on the outside. Then you're going to have negative 2x minus h. On the bottom, you still have that piece. X squared, in other words, this piece. X squared times x plus h quantity squared times 1 over h. Continuing, now the h's can be cancelled off. So specifically, that means this h here can be cancelled with this h here. Continuing here. So next I'm going to have the following. Take the top, negative 2x minus h, you just copy that directly like this. On the bottom, I'm still going to have the same bottom, meaning this bottom, x squared times x plus h quantity squared. Now what you can do is take the limit from here. So the limit as h approaches 0 of this quantity right here. Negative 2x minus h of x squared times x plus h squared. And here you can just do this with direct substitution. So it's going to be negative 2x minus 0. As you can see, it's a pretty long process. And it's going to be x squared here, and then x plus 0 quantity squared. So all the zeros go away, which means you end up here with negative 2x. And at the bottom, you would have x squared from the outside of the parentheses. Now the 0 goes away, and that's going to give you this inside x squared. So at the end, it's going to be x to the 4th. So to finish up here, you're going to have the following. Cancel on x between the top and the bottom, so it's going to be negative 2 over x cubed. And then this is the answer. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.